Okay, so let's come in and let's do at least like HD, and so we'll just go like 1400. Let's do about the same here. The reason I do that is because all of the things that you're using, all the effects and all the um, like moving things around and everything, they're all affected by like the size of pixels, even though Illustrator is resolution independent.
Mm-hmm.
The screen isn't, and so if you start larger, it just gives you more options, more ability to move things around and things like that. Okay, so first off, these are all strokes, but they should be fills, right? And so if you switch that, that'll be a stroke. And if we look super close, and sometimes this can help if you come in and mask things, because then you don't get distracted by everything else. So if we look at this, you've got kind of a mid-tone value, but you also have a little bit of a highlight on the edge on either side. And so if we kind of do that here, I'm going to say that's a little bit thicker. It'll kind of help to just dress it up a bit. So I'm just going to make it just a touch thicker. And then I'm going to copy, paste, and back. I'm going to make that a little bit thicker. And then just drop that in value a little bit. And it's going to be a little bit lighter than the background that it's on. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just like a touch, right? And that'll help it look just slightly raised. And that's kind of what's going on here, right? And so I would do that to the rest of these as well.
Okay.
And then let's just get rid of. Do I still have that square? Good. Do that. I just want to get rid of this white thing so I can keep this as close as possible. All right. So then we've got, and you're starting to see some of this stuff, but let's get rid of some of these things and let's start over. So if we look at this as a single shape, then it'll help you at the corners. You notice how these are rounded? They're corners, but they don't come to this jagged point. And so if we grab this and this, and we add that to the same thing, then we can use our white arrow tool. Grab here and here. And we can just kind of round those points just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a touch. And something's going on here, so I'm going to see if I can round that. It's not going to let me, which is fine. So I'm just actually going to come in and add points midway, and then I'm just going to get rid of these ones because I want this to be symmetrical. Yeah, there was an extra anchor point there. And so once I get this left side the way I like it, I can grab this and I can use the reflect tool and reflect across the vertical, make sure that's what we want to do, go yes, and then we can kind of combine those shapes. Shift M, grab that together. Okay, so that gives us the same kind of curvature. Then let's look in here, okay, and we're seeing that you got this giant gap, right, in where your band is, okay? It's probably a little early to deal with highlights, and so let's just deal with this band, okay? And you're using a rounded rectangle, and maybe that's a little bit rounded, but it's definitely wider, and so we'll come in here and we'll just widen it up. I want it to just actually touch so that we can kind of do some stuff to it.
What did you push to make it extend both ways?
Yeah, so if you pull on it normally, it'll just go one way, but if you hold Alt, it'll go from the center, right? It's the same as if I pull from the corner or pull from the center holding Alt.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so if you want something, if something is already middle and symmetrical, then you can kind of even that out. All right, so we got that basic shape, and then we need to put some things in here as well. So I'm seeing that these don't come to a point; they kind of round off. So I'm going to grab those two, with my wide arrow tool, and I'm just going to round those off. Not that much, just a little bit. Okay, and these ones are rounded as well. A little bit less. Okay, so that'll help a little bit there. And then for all intents and purposes, I'm actually going to not have this rounded, and I'm going to extend this underneath this shape. So we'll throw it all the way to the back. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that is because I am going to line everything up here. So since this band is inside of the lug here, we're going to take this and we're going to move it so it matches up and doesn't cross over. Okay, we've got a little sliver there as well, so I'm going to do the same thing. Get rid of that sliver. Okay. Okay, so now you just start looking at it, right? And so I see that it's super dark inside of here, right? And these actually seem a little bit taller than what we've got them. So I can come in here and I can lock this. If I want to lock it, I can go to Object, Lock, Selection. Now I can't accidentally click on it. And I can take my wide arrow tool and I can grab all of these and I can just bring them up while I hold Shift, just to be a little bit longer. That feels a little bit better. And then I can Command Shift 2 to unlock. Okay, so now we want to start building this edge. And so let's decide how much of this watch we want to do. And so we can come in here and we can just pull this up. They can bleed off the, you don't need to show the whole band. We're going to deal with all this later, so we'll just delete that. So now what I want to do is I want to come in and I want to start coloring this to kind of make it feel like it's built up a little bit. And so I'm going to come in and I'm going to say Shift D twice, or I can come over here and I can go from drawing node normal to inside. And now it gives me those little dotted lines. And anything that I put in here. Oh, strange. Okay, so let's do this. HSB. Crank that up. You can see anything that's in there is only contained inside and is cropped. So it's masked, basically.
Wait, what was that real quick?
So that was this down here.
That one, okay.
So it was draw inside of
okay.
whatever you have selected.
Oh, so, okay. You choose that and then you pick that one.
Correct. And then that makes it, that actually turns it into a clip group.
Clip, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I go like this, and I'll just bring this all the way in so we can see what I'm doing. And I change this to a gradient, and I make my gradient go from black to black, and I go 100 to 0% opacity. So I go 100 to 0. You see it gives us a nice little fade there. And so what I can do now is I can take this fade and I can just put it, you know, right here on the edge. And I can start to use this to start to add shadows. Now, I want this shadow to be pretty tight, so this is going to be pretty small. But before I make it small, I want to make sure it looks okay. So I'm going to come in here like this, and I'm going to go to my transparency panel and multiply, and then I can drop this down or raise it up, and that will change the opacity of it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that kind of hot. Then I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come over to this edge.
Why did you multiply it?
So when you're multiplying something, I'll show you like this. Let's change this to let's change this gradient so we can see kind of the color of it. There we go. Okay. So now, over here, normal. Now if you multiply it, it mixes it down, right? And so it's kind of like mixing paint or two different colors of light, or you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But if you just leave it, normal, it doesn't blend with anything else.
Okay.
And so it'll feel less like it's part of that thing unless it's blended a little bit. And so the first three will make darker things dark and underneath. The next three will make lighter things light and everything underneath. And the next three do a kind of combination of those.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And so when I'm doing shadows, I usually choose multiply. it's just usually a better way of doing it. And so so I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm going to come in. I'm going to have it just kind of align there. I'm just going to come over here just on the edge. I just want just a little bit of that edge. And I want to stay inside that clip group, and I want another one over there. And so I can hit O, which gives me my reflect tool, Alt-click, which changes the origin point, snap it over and copy. Okay, and then I've already done this. It's already multiplied, and so it still has all the same attributes. It's got the multiply, it's got the same gradient and everything. So if I want to keep that, I can just copy and let's copy and paste it in front. So now it's exactly on top of that. And so now I can grab this copy of it, and I can rotate it, and I can pull it out like this. And because it's still clipped, it'll stay that way. So I can kind of pull this out like that. You'll notice that these are still blending down, and maybe that's a little too much. And so I can take my gradient annotator tool by hitting G or clicking on the gradient tool over here, and I can just kind of adjust where this transition happens. Where this is going from 0% black to 100% black in opacity. Okay, so once I have that, that gives me kind of the basics of what I'm seeing here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a white shape. This is going to be this highlight over here. And I'm going to go to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And I'm just going to blur this kind of until I like the size of it. And then I'm going to shrink it down somewhat. I'm going to put it right here. Now what I'm seeing is that that bulges about where that pin is, and then it gets darker afterwards again. And so I can take this, and I want it to blend down, but I want it to be brighter. And so I'm going to choose Screen, and then I'm going to drop my opacity kind of until it starts to look about the same value as my reference here. Just kind of drop that like that. And I can still come in and say, I want this.
Would you clip that one?
Yeah, so I'll put it inside that clip group. But I want the black to extend past because there's a little bit of black, and so I go back and just adjust my midtone value. Yeah, and so I would take this and put it inside that clip group.
That second layer that you put up top, to kind of make it go dark again, was that in the same shape, or was that in the other gradient behind it?
Sorry, say that again?
You know, it's like white and then it goes dark again?
Yeah.
And you just added that right now, yeah?
Yeah, good question.
Is that in that same...
So it's inside of the clipping group, and it's that first major one.
That big one, okay.
Yeah, and what I did is I just pulled the midpoint out. And so it'll transition, and it's transitioned because of the order of the layers. And so this white one that I did, which I'm gonna call white so we know what's going on, and then this one we'll call it bottom dark. Okay, and then because this one is underneath, it'll pass underneath this and come and it looks like it shows up again behind it.
Cool.
Basically. But I want these to be on top of that white, and so you notice that now they're going to cast a shadow on that as well. And so you can also come into this and you can say, I want this to be a little bit rounded, or I want to pull this, up a little bit, and it'll still adjust that. It'll still adjust that shape. Okay, and so that's the basics of kind of how you're going to get, your kind of photorealism going.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take this and just kind of pull it over like that. Yeah. And so then we can come in and we can kind of do the same things. I'm going to grab this big one, and I'm going to copy paste in front, and I'm going to rotate it again while I hold Shift, and I just want to pull this in from the edge. And then I want to do the same thing on the other side, and pull this in from the edge. Maybe not as much, so that we have kind of a little bit of a lighting situation. But that'll just kind of dress that a little bit. And so that's kind of the general idea of how you do that. Now I'm seeing inside of here that we've got like another little piece. right? And so we could go in really quickly and just say, I'm going to go across, and then I'm going to jog up and come back. So first off, I'm just going to go one straight line across. Okay. And then I'm going to add an anchor point kind of here in the middle. And then another one here like that. Take my white arrow tool, and I'm going to grab those. I'll bring that up. And then I'm just going to make it have kind of a white stroke. And we'll kind of just build that up a little bit. And so we'll go 1 point. I'm going to go Shift W for my line width tool. And I'm just going to pull just a little bit and zoom in. It's probably a good idea here. So let me zoom in. Okay, so we'll go Shift W. I want this to kind of taper to a point and almost disappear completely here. So come on, work with me. There we go. That point's too far out, so we'll just get a little sliver. And then I want it to get bigger here, but only on one side. So I'm gonna just hold Alt, pull that up, give myself a little ridge. Hold Alt, pull that up.
Oh, you're doing that thing we did in that activity, yeah?
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
And so, because you could build this with shapes, that's fine too. But it's pretty easier just to do it like this. And so now that we have that line there, that looks good. The value is a little off, so I could do one of two things. I could come in and I could just guess on value, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I could come in and just kind of drop this down, or I could mix it like I did before with everything else. And so there's just that little bit. And now it's looking weird to me that it tapers off, because it doesn't really taper off here. It goes all the way across. And so I'm going to come back in. I'm going to just make some adjustments. Line width tool. I'm just going to click on this and delete it. I'm going to click on this and have it expand out just a little bit. Do the same over here. Delete this. Have this expand out just a touch. And take my white arrow tool. I'm just going to extend these to the edge. And then underneath that actually has like a shadow. And so I could go copy, paste, and back. Oops. I got to highlight the whole thing first. So I go copy, paste, and back. And then I can bump this up like that.
Just as me. Oh, to me.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to turn that black. And that'll give it that little line of a shadow. You can kind of hold it up a little bit. And so it's just barely there. But all the little things that are just barely there
make it look real.
We're gonna make it look legit. So yeah.
Okay.
And I see that it kind of fades off at the sides, so I could keep working on this, right? And I could come in and say, actually, I'm gonna make this stroke have a gradient on it. And so I'm gonna put it here in the middle, and then I'm gonna go all the way to black. Or actually, I'll keep this same color. So let's just drop this off. If I click to the right or left of something where there isn't another color stop, it gives me an exact copy of it. So I'm just going to do this, and then I can go like that, and I'll throw this to the edge, and go 0, and then throw that to the middle. Yeah, and now it's going to fade out. And so I'm going to make that 0 as well. Okay, and then I'm going to put these all the way kind of at the edge there.
So right now you're deciding where the gradient is on this bar that you just made? Oh, okay.
Exactly what I'm doing. And if you want to see it better, you can hit G. And that'll bring up, it won't, it's too small, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it won't. But anyway, that gives it fading, just like it does in our reference photo. So now we've got that little highlight, and you can keep looking at it and see that there's like a little bright spot here, a little bright spot there, or whatever. And so we could go in if we wanted, and we could say, I'm just going to do like just a little white circle. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. And I'll preview that. That's going to be way too much. So we'll dial that back.
Steph, that's you? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm sad you're not coming to bank with us tomorrow.
Yeah, no. I would be dead, honestly.
It's okay. I understand. Especially with this project.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the toughest one.
Yep.
You'll make it.
Maybe.
It's looking good so far.
Yeah.
From what I see.
Not from me, though.
Not for you.
Not from me. It's him. But it's good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too. Take care.
You too.
So that's probably a little too much, but we can come in and we can just kind of go like this, and then just squish it. Then I'm going to make a copy of it because there was another one right over here. And that'll just kind of brighten up those areas, just with a little shine, like it's catching the light,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so you can keep kind of pushing on that. Eventually, you want to add a texture to it, you know, because there's a little bit of a grain. So you add kind of some kind of texture to it. Okay, so let's tackle this shape. Okay, actually, let's just move our way down. So before we do that, we're gonna grab this bigger shape. Okay, and this value, they seem basically the same, except there's like a little bit of a darker spot here, right? And so we can kind of start building this in. But if we do the same thing and we go Shift D twice to go to draw inside, then we can start to kind of separate this out. And so I'm going to come in here like this, and I'm going to add
Shift D.
Yeah, so Shift D just does this right here, where it does the drawing modes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to hit D to give me a black and white, / to get rid of my fill color, and then I'm just going to give myself just a little bit of that blur. But I just want it to be just a touch. So I'm going to go like that, and then I want to knock this way back because it's barely different, right? And so it's not as bright. And so I'm going to blend it down. This time I think I'm going to use overlay. I'm just going to knock this back until it's just a couple shades lighter. I'm just on the opacity and the gradient. So that gives us kind of that edge there, right?
Freaking heck. Okay.
Yeah.
That took me forever. I kept trying and didn't work. Okay.
Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes how easy it is to do some of this stuff. But I mean, until you do it. So let's see. Let me grab this corner. I have to zoom in. I just want to make it thinner. And you could do this with a line too. You could do that with the stroke. You don't have to use a shape, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And if I want this to be a little less fuzzy, I can always go back to my appearance panel and I can get out my Gaussian blur. I can kind of dial this back in.
Is that the multiple line thing? That's the appearance panel?
Yeah, the appearance panel
is the shiny.
is this deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a 3-year-old drew a sunshine.
Yeah. Because I kept going back and just making a new line because I wanted to adjust it, but I didn't know how to go back. Okay.
Yeah, and so that appearance
That's
panel,
super
that's very helpful. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
gonna pull this out. This is annoying me. This no longer. There we go. Okay, so we've got our shape here. Now I can do the same thing, and I'm gonna I'm gonna jump inside here. So now I double click, so I'm inside of my clip group that I just created. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create this little section, but because it's hiding a bunch of stuff, I can really just draw a big giant like rectangle. And when I hit escape, that will be inside, and now I can go and I can make this color, and then I'm going to darken it. And so I like to mix colors with HSB. I just need it to be darker. It's not a lot darker, it's just a little bit. And so probably about like that. And then I can take this, and I'm going to just get this shape. I want it to kind of bend along that ridge. And so I'm just going to bend that shape as if it's like a normal shape like anything else. And I'll take this one, and I'll bend it along this outer ridge here, because I'm seeing it kind of starts to fade. It actually comes in a little bit. And so I'm going to come in as well. And I'm going to just follow this curve as much as I can. I'm not too worried about getting it precise because I'm going to blur it.
What did you do to just pull the line?
So that is Shift C, which is the anchor point tool. So it'll turn curves to corners and corners to curves, but if you just grab a line,
The line, it'll pull.
yeah, then it gives you that little line, and you can just grab it and pull stuff. And so I can just pull this out or pull it in or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so then we're just going to blur that again. And so we will go Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, Preview, and I just want to fuzz this line so I can get a nice. It's probably going to be pretty big. Yeah, and I'm looking mainly here. I just want a nice fade so there's not like a distinct line. And then I'm going to blend that down. Since it's a shadow, I'm going to go like this. And that's way too dark, so I pull this back. Okay, and then I'm going to hit V so I can click out of that, and that just gave us just that little bit of value difference here. And I feel like this whole thing is probably a little too bright, and so I'm going to dial the whole thing back. So I'll grab that shape somewhere right here, and I'm just going to dial this whole thing back. Oh, what did I just do? I grabbed
the recipe.
Yeah. So where's this? Where's this? There's pen. This clipping group. Okay. So this path is the one. And I just want to come in and just dial this back like that. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I noticed that because my highlights and my shadows are all separate shapes, they all stay the same as I can adjust major things. Okay. Now I'm just going to look and I'm just going to see, okay, so I've got one shape that's like this. It's actually a pretty thick, dark line most of the way around. So I'm going to make that totally black. Get rid of my stroke here, and then I'm going to go copy paste in front, and I'm going to come just inside of that, just barely. And then I'm going to make that probably the same main color. Okay.
Did you just make a separate circle?
Yeah. Yeah. So I made a separate circle so I can deal with them independently of each other. And this is probably a little bit darker, so I'm actually going to grab this and then darken it. And so now I'm just kind of eyeballing kind of the values. This is going to go darker because now I'm working on not this thing, but I'm working on this edge.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to go a little bit darker, and then I'm going to go copy, paste in front, black arrow tool, and I'm going to come in a big chunk about like that. That'll give me my edge. Then I'll go lighter. About like that is good. Okay. And then that's kind of a softer edge. If we wanted to, we could, we could fuzz that. I'll do that in a minute. Copy paste in front again. I'm going to go way inside, and I see that there's a little ridge before we get to the face, and that ridge is black. And then I'm going to go copy paste in front again, and I'm going to come just inside of that ridge. That ridge is a little bit thicker, but then that gets bright, and so I'm going to lighten that up. Like that. And that's only bright here.
Yeah.
It gets darker here, so we'll address that in a minute. But I'm going to go one more time, copy, paste in front, and come inside, because it gets dark again. So right about there. And I'm just going to turn that black one more time. We might back that off. I don't think it's actually a black. But. So now you've got all of these, right? And now all you have to do is just go in and start adding things to the inside of them. And so
that's where you get the specifics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's where I'm gonna put a highlight right here, right? So let's do that because that's the brightest thing. So I'm gonna grab that shape, Command or Shift D twice. I'm gonna draw a big white circle right there. Make it white, and then I'm going to.
Son of a gun! That's so much easier.
Yeah, it is.
I was trying to... You saw what I was doing. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So then we'll make that smaller. Okay, and then we can just come in and we can just say, I'm going to blend this in. So let's go transparency, and we'll go screen, and then we'll drop it until we like that. So that's pretty good, right? And I see a significantly brighter one down here. And so I can just grab this shape. Black arrow tool, I'll click and drag. No, come back and do that. Don't be like that. Come back. Okay, so Shift, Command Y will get it so that we can just like see all the outlines of everything. I want that shape. Give me that shape right there. That's really annoying. That shape. That's the one I want. Okay, so copy, paste. No. So. Grab this one, copy paste in front, so it's right on top of it. It'll stay inside of that clip group. Get out of this now. Go back here. Give me, for the love of Pete, get out of isolation mode and get out of the outline mode. Okay. Now, I'm going to just go in here. I'm going to find that clip group, and there should be 2 ellipses. I'm going to grab one of them, and I'm going to pull it. Oh, this is driving me crazy. Just let me pull this ellipse.
I don't know why it's comforting to know that it happens to you.
Oh, yeah. Happens to me. Super annoying when it's like, I know what I want it to do, and it's just not doing what I want it to do.
Yeah.
All right, and let's dial that up quite a bit. So I'm going to take it 50%. I'm going to go way, way brighter. Okay, and then I might even go copy paste in front and shrink this down like this to give myself an even brighter center.
Mm.
And then I can take this and just say, you know, go like 100. And then I might even get out of that. And I might even do like one of these, right? And so I can just grab this one and just pull this down. And rotate it like that, and then we'll just make it a little bit bigger. Give me the right thing. Yeah. Just to give ourselves just a little bit of a shine. And then I'll knock that way back. Way, way back. Like that. That might be a little too much. We can take a look at it in a minute. And so that's basically what you're doing is you just start building that up. And so you can do it here as well, kind of like what you had before. And we can just go copy paste in front, drag it over a little bit like this, and then down a little bit like that. Right, and then you can kind of use this to cut this. And so we should probably make a copy of that before we do that. So I'm gonna grab this one, copy paste in front, Shift W so I can grab this guy. Those are the 2 I want. Shift M to give me my shape builder tool. Make that white. Why can't we see it? Why can't we see it? What is going on? That should be visible. So what am I doing wrong? Opacity's fine. Oh, I probably have it blended. No. There's 0 reason for this not to show up. It's at the top. It's not inside of anything. I have no idea why that worked. Okay, so then we just do the same thing here, like you did before.
Is that a separate shape like we did before?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a separate shape. And I can just come in and I can just blur it as much as I want and then knock it way back. And take this and maybe overlay to mix a little bit. So it's just really subtle.
Yeah.
Right? And then I might even take that same shape and copy paste in front and just like give myself a little rim of it. And so I'll come in and go, you know, I just want it to be like a little sliver. So I'm just gonna get rid of most of this. And I'm gonna grab this, come over like so. I'm gonna grab this, and we're just gonna push this up. Push this over, and this is gonna get a lot brighter. So pull it up. So it feels a little bit more like a highlight. But notice that the 2 of them together kind of give a nice fade.